And let's just go straight in and talk about the good of the arc. I really love the backgrounds of this arc. I love how spooky and creepy and sinister everything looks. The purples and blacks really complement one another. The way everything is designed and drawn. When we first go into Thriller Bark, it looks so creepy and spooky and mysterious. And the way the Straw Hats walk in and just sort of investigate everything, like when Nami and Usopp and Chopper walk in for the first time and one Thriller Bark member creeping in on Nami, it feels like some sort of Scooby-Doo episode. It's very Scooby-Doo-ish in its vibe and tone, and because of that, it made me really appreciate and love the arc overall. Of course, this is the arc where we get introduced to Brook, the singing skeleton man, and my gosh, you love this guy. Literally from the moment you first meet him, he just wants to join Luffy's crew and Luffy's alright with that literally immediately. Yeah, I really like that, and his backstory melts your heart. It's really tragic, and it was surprising that he was part of the pirate group that met Laboon and left him there. Just seeing that whole flashback of him with his crew and how happy-go-lucky they all were and how they all dreamed for adventures and living the life of a pirate. It reminds me of how the Straw Hats go about with things, you know? But this time, things don't go the way they want it to go. The captain gets ill and some of his crew members and him all perish. Yeah, things keep going from bad to worse. His pirate group are defeated by a mysterious pirate ship and they are all murdered with poisonous spears, and I don't know how and where Brook got it, but he got the human fruit, and even though he did die, he did reincarnate back into a human, so he has a second life, which is kind of cool. It was so touching that the last thing they did was all record a song for Laboon. I like how none of the pirates regretted anything. They didn't regret their life, but they all regretted not seeing Laboon one last time. It was sad, dude. Them all singing the Binks Sake song for one last time while they're all dying one by one is just heartbreaking. It reminded me of the moment in Titanic where you have the men playing that violin song while the ship sinks. It's really sad, dude. I also like how Usopp in this arc is a lot braver than he used to be. Of course, you do see that bravery really shine through in Water 7 and Eni's lobby, but back then he was Sniper King and now he is 100% Usopp, and I love it. I like seeing how brave he was, how he was the only one who was able to survive the powers of Perona. That entire fight with him and Perona was possibly one of the funniest fights I've ever seen. How he whips out this gigantic hammer and he tricks her. I'm not gonna lie, he tricked me as well. I thought at first, the first time I watched this episode, that it really was a hammer, but then I realized it's a balloon. But Perona doesn't know that, and it's just so hilarious seeing her freaking out over it and just passing out. And another moment that I really liked, which was pretty hard to watch as well, was when Kuma, one of the 7 warlords of the sea, makes an appearance and he takes all of Luffy's pain and puts it into a bubble and tells Zoro that if he can absorb all of that pain, then he will let his crewmates go. My gosh, this man is a real friend. He is super loyal to Luffy and he has so much faith in him. I love how Sanji was also trying to be the hero and also take on Luffy's pain, but Zoro was like, nope, I'll do it. And it makes sense for Zoro to be the one to do it. But I like how much Sanji cared and worried for Zoro after this moment. It was pretty touching. The villains of this arc are possibly one of the weirdest ones I've seen so far. Gecko Moria, Dr. Hodback. I mean, the laughs, oh my gosh, the laughs are just out of this world, bonkers, and I'm a bit mixed on them. It's funny the first couple of times, but then after a while it's a little annoying. I love how this arc basically showed us how you shouldn't really meet your heroes because you may end up being disappointed. Just like Tony Chopper when he met Dr. Hodback. He was a huge fan of his, but then the more he got to know him and the way he treats Sindri, who was this zombie that Dr. Hodback stole the body of when the real Sindri died in an accident, and now he uses her as a slave. I mean, poor Chopper was just completely heartbroken by all this, and his lack of empathy when it comes to human life is just sickening to watch. Don't like the guy. Oars was a pretty silly, goofy character as well, yet at the same time he was threatening and really dangerous if you messed with him. He has Luffy's shadow, so he sort of has his traits and personality, and it's kind of hilarious seeing this gigantic version of Luffy with really terrifying powers just stumbling and fumbling around. But with that out of the way, let's talk about the bad of the the arc. And surprisingly enough, when it comes to the bad, I don't quite have a whole lot to say for bad. I feel like just like the previous arcs, this arc was unique and very engaging in its own special way. I appreciated how short the arc was compared to Enies Lobby. It just got straight to the point and we were already finished by the time I realized. Although I must admit that I don't feel like the Straw Hats really got any development apart from Zoro, Usopp and Brook. The Straw Hats didn't quite get any major developments. They were all more or less the same from the previous arc. I will admit I do find Gekomori's design to be very unsettling. It's not bad, it's not a badly drawn design, it's just really unsettling and creepy to look at. And I must admit that if you were to take this entire arc out and just have the stuff with Kuma in, it doesn't really change anything when it comes to the story. I mean, apart from getting Brook's shadow back and the rest of the Straw Hat shadow back, they could have just skipped the arc. It felt like, despite it being a canon arc like Sky Pier, you could have skipped over it and gone straight to the next arc. But personally, I really liked it. It was a really fun arc to watch with a lot of really funny gags. So with that out of the way, I'll give this arc a 8 out of 10, and I think I'll give it a B+. I think overall, I preferred the Water 7 arc and part of the Enies Lobby arc, but Enies Lobby was just a bit too sluggish and the pacing was a bit slow in that arc. But this arc, the pacing wasn't too bad, so it gets bonus points from me. What do you think of this review? Do you agree or not? Like for more One Piece reviews. But thanks for watching, and as always, your boy D the View signing out.